Hello and welcome to another Kentucky Derby video. I wanted to go over what the Apollo curse is and whether or not it still applies to today's Kentucky Derby. Now, all you have to do is just search for it on any search engine, but let me read what it says here. I typed in "what is the Apollo curse Kentucky Derby" in the Brave search engine, and the AI generated answer came up. It says here, the Apollo curse in the Kentucky Derby refers to the fact that no horse has won the race after not starting as a 2-year-old since Apollo in 1882. This trend has led to a superstition among racing fans and bettors who believe that backing a horse unraced as a 2-year-old is not a wise decision. But we know this Apollo curse is outdated because Justify won the Kentucky Derby in 2018 and Mage won the Kentucky Derby last year, and both of them did not start as a 2-year-old. This curse is outdated. I don't think horses who didn't start as a 2-year-old are disqualified from winning the Kentucky Derby. I think there's more to it than that. I do think a horse has to have the right amount of talent to overcome the inexperience. There is something to the idea that horses who started as a 2-year-old might be more prepared for the Kentucky Derby because they have more racing experience and they started earlier than a horse who didn't start as a 2-year-old. But again, we know Justify won the race in 2018. He won the Kentucky Derby in 2018, and he made his first start in February, which is amazing. And when Justify won the Kentucky Derby without having started as a 2-year-old, I figured, well, maybe he's a special talent. He won the Triple Crown, and horses like that don't come around very often. But then Mage won last year, and Mage was a good horse, but he wasn't as talented as Justify. And Mage won the Kentucky Derby before finishing third in the Preakness, second in the Haskell, and then seventh in the Travers Stakes. And after Mage won, I just figured, okay, Mage won the Kentucky Derby. His first start was in January 28th. And so the Apollo curse is dead because Mage is not a special horse. He was a good horse, but he wasn't special. Which horses in this Kentucky Derby haven't started as a 2-year-old? Well, one of them is Just a Touch. I discussed Just a Touch before. He ran well in the Bluegrass Stakes. We're going to take a look at the race right here. And what I liked about Just a Touch is that he was chasing hot fractions. He was the second place horse throughout most of the race. And the fractions were 23.15, 46.48, 110.83, which for a 9 furlong race at Keeneland, those are fast fractions. And Just a Touch was right on the lead at this moment before Sierra Leone came and gobbled them up. And even though Just a Touch lost to Sierra Leone, he still was clear of the rest of the field. So I don't think it was a distance. I just think Sierra Leone is a good horse. And Sierra Leone mowed Just a Touch down. But Just a Touch survived those fractions. So I give him credit for that. And maybe he has the talent. And so he is stakes tested. And even though he doesn't have a start as a 2-year-old, he could factor in the Kentucky Derby and possibly win. Now, the other 3-year-old without a start as a 2-year-old is one of the Japanese horses. His name is T.O. Password. And I'm not too sure about T.O. Password. After watching his last race, he won I can't pronounce the name of the race, probably the Fukuryu Stakes in Japan. But what I didn't like about this race was that he was desperate to win. He's on the lead right now. I generally think that Americans have the best dirt horses. And if he's struggling to beat these dirt horses over in Japan, how is he going to handle the American 3-year-olds? I would think that for me to trust him, he would need to dominate that field that he was facing in this race. And he did it. He was barely ahead at the end. He was desperate to win. The other horses were closing in on him. And I just don't think that's a good sign. See, that 4-horse was about to get him. And I don't know how he held on. I don't think T.O. Password's speed will help him in the Kentucky Derby with horses like Fierceness, Just a Touch, maybe some other horses going for the lead. Dornoch is going to go for the lead. And the fact that T.O. Password only has 2 starts and they both came in Japan, and one of them was a stakes race where he barely won, aren't great signs to me. I think if you're going to take one of these 2 horses, that Just a Touch is the one to take, especially since he'll be double-digit odds. But those are just my thoughts on the two horses who haven't started as a 2-year-old. In any case, thanks for watching my video on the Apollo Curse. Horses can win if they haven't started as a 2-year-old. They can win the Kentucky Derby, but they just have to have the talent to overcome the inexperience. And just to touch his cases, he's been battle tested in American stakes races, American prep races leading up to the Kentucky Derby. So I wouldn't worry about the Apollo Curse for him. Thanks for watching.